A very warm welcome to you. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Platform. I'm Ruth Aguele. Let's talk about me and you, talking about our population. But most importantly, population census, which is one of the key, areas when it comes to planning strategies towards sustainable development and progress of a nation, which depends largely on collective data. Now, it has become a backdrop for government's political, economic, and social policy formation, especially in the allocation of resources across the country. It provides answers to how many are we, who we are in terms of age, sex, education, occupation, economic activity, and other crucial characteristics, as well as where we live in terms of housing and access to social amenities. Nigeria has a long history of census spanning over a century. The first census was conducted in 1866. And this was followed by censuses of 1871, 1881, 1891, and 1901. Fast forward to 2006, when the last census was conducted. 17 years after, plans were here on the way for the conduct of the next census, and the National Population Commission, responsible for producing data, has the statutory powers to collect, analyze, and disseminate population and demographic data in the country, among other related matters. Of course, there are high expectations from Nigerians for the next census on population and housing, which is expected to happen in 2023. But there will be a trial census in June this year. I'm sure we're all looking forward to that. But the methodology for the next census should be hinged on accuracy, reliability, and acceptability, also inclusive and user-friendly census data. Now you ask, does the Commission has the capacity to deliver on its mandate? Our focus on Platform is census and national development. Our guest is Dr. Eyitayo Oyetunji. He's the Chairman, Public Affairs and Advocacy Committee of the National Population Commission. Thank you very much for joining us on Platform.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be on the program.
Okay, let's take you through a bit of his profile. Dr. Eyitayo Oyetunji, which we already know, he's the Chairman, Public Affairs and Advocacy Committee for the Commission. He's also a commissioner representing Oyo State. He was acting chairman of the Commission in 2020, and as a career civil servant, he served as secretary to the Commission in the Commission and director of administration. He started his career way back as an instructor with the Nigerian Defense Academy and later joined the NPC in 1991 as a comptroller in Oyo State and conducted the 1991 census. He was part of that process fully. He also served as technical assistant to the former Director General of the NPC during the 2006 census. Now you know why he's the man sitting on that seat. Dr. Oyetunji has a PhD degree in sociology. Thank you once again, Doctor, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, we have a guest, a panelist rather, our correspondent here, who also kept tracks of the Commission's activities, Olusheye Adiagbo. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here.
It's a pleasure having you, Sheye. All right, Dr. Oyetunji, it's been long awaited, talking about the census, and now we're having a trial just June around the corner, and a lot of expectations, a lot is at stake. It's been 17 years, for the wait. How is the Commission, putting all its acts together to ensure that this does not fail?
Well, thank you very much. The trial census, like you noted, is coming in June, but it's not the first test we're doing.
Okay.
We've done 2 pre-tests. In National Population Commission is part of our methodology that we don't just go full hog into the field.
Yes.
We always give ourselves the opportunity to first test our our methodology, test the instruments, test our logistics. So we have done it twice now on smaller scale, and we upped the scale in the second pre-test that we did. Now we are doing the trial census. Some people like to call it a mock census. In that trial census, we bring to play every aspect of the real census process, so that we will be able to test not just the methodology, not just the instruments, but the entire data production system that we want to operate in the real census. The logistics, the advocacy, the publicity, the capacity of our enumerators who are going to do the work in the field, the response we're going to get from all of that, we're going to test in June. And we carefully selected June. We had planned to do this in May before. But we realized that May there are going to be primaries and all of that, and we're careful to ensure that the population census process does not get entangled in the political processes. We want to insulate the process entirely from the political process. That's why we moved it behind. That's why we moved it behind the primaries. So after the primaries at the end of this month, then later in June, we'll be able to go to field and do the trial census.
Are you also putting into consideration, we saw what played out in 2006, and 17 years is a lot of time to plan. If we're talking credibility, accountability, and accuracy, which is very key, are these key factors put into consideration? I know the use of advanced technology wants to also be deployed for this trial. Am I correct?
You're correct.
Okay.
One of the things the Nigerian government has done, which is very good, is to maintain a body, an institution that is permanent for the purpose of not just conducting census but other activities. This has made it possible to build capacity over a period. So we have people who have participated in 1991, 2006 and now. For every experience, the National Population Commission explores ways to improve on previous performance. So for this next census, a lot of improvement on what we did in the past has come to play. And we're even lucky that other advances in technology are at our disposal, and we have brought that to bear, on this next census. So we're very confident that this next census promises to be the best so far, in view of the preparations we have made, in view of the technology we're adopting, in view of the methodology, and in view of all the advocacy that we've been undertaking. We expect that this next census is not just going to be accurate, it's going to be reliable, and it's going to be acceptable to all Nigerians.
Well, Dr. Ito, I would like you to let us also talk about the area demarcation exercise, that is the EAD. That is just a bedrock to any census planning. Now, in Nigeria today, how is the EAD exercise? What is the level at the present?
Okay. The enumeration area demarcation is actually a process of carving the entire country, the geographical space, into small units that can be covered by a team of enumerators during a census. There are other benefits, there are other uses that we put this exercise to. And like you noted correctly, it is a foundational activity for census taking, any modern census taking, not just in Nigeria, but the worldwide. And for the next census, the enumeration area demarcation exercise started long ago, over 5-6 years ago. We started on a small scale and we have been upping. And as we speak today, we are almost like 99% completed. Out of the 774 local governments in the country, we have successfully carved the local governments in 772 of those local governments countrywide. So we are more or less done. We have 2 local governments to complete. We've started, but we've not been able to complete them, and we've engaged relevant stakeholders to ensure that those 2 local governments are completed as soon as possible.
That's 772 out of 774.
Exactly.
We need to know which these local governments and what is actually the main challenge, because it's over 3 months now that we've not been able to get this local government. covered?
Yes, one is in Borno State, the other in Kaduna State, Beningwari, and I think is in Abadam also in Borno State. These local governments have not been completed because of security challenges, and we have not sitting on our oars. The chairman of the National Population Commission took the initiative to visit the states and meet with the governors. He was in Borno State. He met with the governor. He actually even visited the field commander in Maiduguri, to explain the problems, and he has assurances that these places will be done very soon. The same thing in Kaduna State. He was with the governor, and the governor gave him assurances that they will pave the way for the completion of this local government. It's not that nothing has been done. Work has started, but it has not been possible to complete the entire local government.
What kind of body language are you getting from state governors? Because if you have to work closely and achieve your goal, there must be a very strong synergy at the state and at the local government levels. What's the synergy like?
The chairman of the National Population Commission, like I mentioned, has taken the initiative to begin to visit the state governors. He's visited the Ekiti state governor, who is the chairman of the Governors Forum. And in that visit, the governor gave assurance of the complete support of all governors, actually. He even highlighted the importance of having data for planning. He informed us about those things he's already done in Ekiti State, which he expects that all other states will do. He has a special committee he has formed, to support National Population Commission. And the same thing when the chairman visited Kaduna State. In fact, Kaduna State is already implementing so many aspects of population and development, and they can't wait to have a national census that will give them an accurate and up-to-date information about the population. The same thing in Borno State when he visited. So in all the states that the chairman has visited and engaged the governors, all of them have shown an inclination and commitment towards the census. Because like you just noted, and the title of our discussion, without evidence, you can't plan accurately. You can make optimal use of resources that are available to you. Even in a family, if you don't have enough information about the members of your family, you can't put the best use of the resources that are available to your family. So almost every governor appreciates the importance of having an accurate information about their population to have a meaningful and sustainable development.
Now, you are the chairman, public affairs and advocacy for the commission, and I'm sure you're very much involved when it comes to the advocacy aspect, awareness, sensitization. A lot of Nigerians, especially those in rural communities, not to bring down their personalities, but people are still skeptical. We have a lot of challenges that hinder the process of census in the past. Are we going to be seeing that, or sensitization has kicked off, if this trial you want to conduct must succeed?
Honestly, Ruth, contrary to what many people imagine, the people in the rural area and all of that, we've received tremendous support from them. Like I told you, the Nigerian area demarcation exercise, we've been at it for more than 5-6 years. And all this work we've been doing in various communities. The communities have been very supportive. They give accommodation to our workers. They guide our workers. Every community, you see, they mobilize themselves because the communities realize the importance of having accurate data for development. So as far as the rural communities, as you said, are concerned, we don't have any worry at all. Sometimes it's the elite that are a bit skeptical about some of these issues.
Why?
But like now there are concerns about their security and all of that. But we've been in the field for months. The way we've been progressing with the Nigerian area demarcation is, if you like, instrumentally. We go there for a month, we cover 2 local governments, we go back, and we've done this progressively throughout the country. And we've received tremendous support. Like I told you, 772 out of 774 of this vast country is a lot. In all this, and this is in the milieu of this security atmosphere that we've had. The census is going to take place for just about a week, the actual enumeration. But enumeration area demarcation is where our people were in the field continuously for a month at a time, living in those communities, and we've not had any major issues, even in those very turbulent areas. We were there where we've demarcated the entire Zamfara state, the entire Katsina state, and other parts of this country. And every time our people are in the field for almost an entire month, living in the communities, and they have not been. So we are sure that when it comes to this 1 week of actual enumeration, we will have the same success. Look, a lot of people thought elections will not take place in Anambra State, for example. The security situation in that place was terrible. People were afraid and everything. But when the time came, all the stakeholders understood the importance of having an election, and they agreed to cooperate together, and they did the elections. In the same way, we have confidence and assurance that because Nigerians appreciate the importance of having accurate information, when it gets to that stage, everybody is going to come together and say, hey, it won't be in our best interest not to allow ourselves to be counted. So we have confidence that
but are you doing enough sensitization? Because we're here talking about it, this is part of the awareness. How much is out there? How much information is out there for the populace? How much are people aware that, okay, yes, we're going to have a trial census soon, this is the cooperation we need from you. You get what I'm saying?
Yes. Public enlightenment for us, and it's an ongoing process. We've been at it and we've continued, and we're going to step it up as we move closer to the trial census. So there's so many things were lined up. You are aware that the National Population Commission is made up of commissioners representing each of all the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory.
Yeah.
Just before the trial census, each commissioner is going to go back, and going to have meetings with relevant stakeholders. The enlightenment we're talking about now, everybody knows the importance of census. What we need is to engage with the communities at that level. It's not so much about talking on newspapers, pages, and all of that. That is important. But much more importantly is to engage, the public, the community leaders, the traditional rulers, the religious, the CSOs, and all of that at that level. And we have a publicity strategy to meet with all those stakeholders before the trial census in June.
Now, Rose, I want Dr. Ita also to try to explain to us. We're having a shift. Former census have been analog.
Yes.
Kind of. But this one is promising to be digital. How prepared? We have a country where you have power issue, where you have network in rural areas challenge. Now, in times of your EAD exercise, how have you been able to identify this challenge? And going forward, how are you prepared for this?
Well, thank you very much. I told you, I said, look, if there's ever a time when this country can have a good census, this is the time. Not just because of us, but other developments in technology. This census we are approaching, there are two dimensions of the technology that we're using. The first is spatial technology.
Okay.
We're using satellite imageries and the GPS. This we're using extensively at the level of the enumeration area demarcation, where we have successfully mapped all the spatial features of the population. The basic unit is the building. It's a spatial data by location. A building is standing. It's not, it's a unit that is standing. And we have used satellite imageries and the GPS to map out all the buildings in Nigeria and the uses for which they have been made. Now we built upon that. The kind of technology we're using, an in-house development, is that presently we have that map. When an enumerator goes to the field, he's just going to tap the building. When he taps the building, all the households in that building will come out. By the time we're going for actual enumeration, what the enumerators are only going to do is to enumerate the persons in those households. So as it is now, the census is more or less a done deal for us, because all the buildings in Nigeria, they're already captured in our database as a spatial data. And the households that we estimate that they are already captured. For the real census, all the enumerator is going to do is going to download what we already have in our database. And you know, the beauty is that the in-house technology that we have developed, if an enumerator is not standing where he's supposed to be, that building will not come down. It will not be downloaded for him. The emirate, unlike in the past, where you can go and sit under a tree and begin to pretend you're doing something. Now, for you to have the right data before, you must be where you should be. That's when the thing will be downloaded. And when it's downloaded, he will see the building.
Okay.
It's not a sketch. He will see it on his map. This is the building, I should be here. When he taps it, it will bring forth the households that are in that building by the name of the head of the household. And all he needs to do now is confirm that, yes, what was done during the enumeration area demarcation is still what is on ground. Because now it's going to be de facto, those he can actually see. And when he confirms, he takes the people in the household and needs to enumerate them. That is for the level of the EAD. Now, there are two dimensions. That is using GPS and this thing. The aspect that is digital is the manner of collecting the information. In the past, when it was analog, like you said, the enumerator will now ask, Ruth, what's your name? Okay, you say your name is Ruth. He will write it down in his handwriting, whatever, whether it's bending, whether it's straight, and so on. And how would, okay,
that was the traditional method.
But now, we have moved forward. We're not going to, we didn't use paper in most of the enumeration area demarcation exercise, none at all. You know, before we'll be carrying maps all over the place.
Yes.
You know, but the technology will develop and you don't need to carry any map. The map is there in e-format. You just download it into your app, into the pad that the enumerator the demarcator is using. It doesn't need to carry any map. Whether it's raining, it's not raining, you just download it and the map is there. In the same way, for actual enumeration, we're going to use tablets. And the demarcator is not going to write anything. What's your name? He just types it on the... So from the time of collection of the data, it is already in a digital format. That's what this is all about. When it was analog, he will have to write it. In 2006, it was written. We moved forward. Even in 2006, it wasn't just the paper thing that somebody will come and retype it into the computer. No, in 2006, he will use his handwriting and then we scanned it using an OMR, OCR technology. When you scan it, the computer will transform it into digits. But this time around, we don't even do that. From the very point of collection, the data is collected in a digital format. And he's just going to transmit it to the server. So there's no room for error, there's no room for inaccuracies, there's no the whole thing, and there's going to be a log. Whatever each of our enumerators transmit will be there recorded. You transmitted this 2 p.m. on Thursday and all of that.
You know, there's a tricky question on my mind, and I want to believe some persons may have this question. You're doing housing and population.
Yes.
In a house, let's say Shea's house now, there are 10 members in the family plus the father, mother, and all of that. And let's say 3 persons are out of the country as of the time this data was being collated. And that's for the population. Then for the house, I'm just looking at possible challenges if we're talking accuracy. Then for houses, we're seeing new structures being built, coming up. And then you finish this particular area, and in the next couple of months, new structures are already erected there. What happens to the accuracy, the accurate number of the housing numbers there and the number of persons that were missed, that data came back? What happens? Or the newborn baby that has just been born? It's a tricky question.
Yeah. Probably not too tricky.
Okay, so how do you manage issues like, because
it's a de facto census.
Okay.
We have what we call a census moment. That is for 2023 now. The night of the census moment. You know, a census is like a picture of a country at a particular point in time.
Okay.
It's not a changing thing. You say in April 2023
yes.
or 7th April 2023, this was the population of Nigeria.
That's the clarity.
As of that moment.
That's the clarity we want.
It's a time-bound thing. And when we say a census is de facto instead of de jure, what we mean is that it's only the people you see at that moment that are enumerated.
So if I'm not at home at that moment, I'm out of it.
You're out of it. Our policy, our aim, our objective for this census is to ensure that all persons are counted once and in the right place.
So I still want to talk about this issue of digital census. The NPC has been sending the message across that at the end of the exercise in 2023, over 2 million Nigerians will have gained the knowledge of ICT. How is it going to be possible? What are you trying to achieve?
Sure. If I tell you, we are very excited in National Population Commission because we developed this in-house technology and people have come from the US, from the UN, and it's novel. We're the first to do it. We're merging geospatial data with the attributes, the statistical attributes. They're actually two different packages. Usually, the package that's used for census worldwide is called the CS Pro, which was developed by the US Census Bureau. And that's what's always used. That's what's being used in other countries. But we now in Nigeria decided, look, we're not going to set aside what we did in the enumeration area demarcation. We're going to marry the two. By the time we finish this census, if we say Sheye, we'll be able to put Sheye geographically where he was at the time of the census. So and at the same time, we'll be able to analyze the attributes of Sheye. He's 18 years old, he's been to school, this is his occupation. Those are attributes of Sheye. But Sheye lives in a house that is a geographical unit standing at a location, an unchanging location. It's not a variable. It's standing there. So we'll be able to combine the two, and everybody's excited that can we pull it off? And we've tried and we see that yes, we are. So this new technology that we're going to put together is why we're saying that by the time we train, because we expect to engage so many ad hoc staff, all of them are going to acquire this knowledge about GIS, because essentially we're combining the GIS softwares with a statistical software, and everybody that is going to participate will have to learn the process, acquire the skills, and even after the census, the skills they have acquired will continue to be relevant and useful to them. That's what we mean.
Just for more clarity's sake, you talked about it has to be contact. The number of persons you see in a particular house or a location, whichever form, that is the contact you're getting. What about schools? What about people in workplaces? If you've counted my house, are you going to come to offices to count the number of persons there? Are you going to schools to count how many pupils or students are there? Just for clarity's sake.
Okay, two different categories.
Okay.
Workers. Every worker goes to work and goes back home. Okay, so nobody will be counted at the workplace. People will be counted in their residence. So it's when you go back home. It's not, you don't reside in the office. But schools are a different ball game because students reside in schools. We call such schools institutional households.
Okay.
So the whole hostel is one household. It's an institutional household. So they're going to be counted or enumerated in the hostel.
What about day schools? People who...
No, day school, they go back to their residence. They will be counted at home in their residence.
That is if the timing is right when the officials come.
That's
at that
why
right time. In
the past censuses, government gave opportunity for people to stay at home for that period.
Okay, let me hold your thoughts there, Doctor. We'll be right back just after this time out. Stay tuned.
Pleased that the Buhari-led administration has made remarkable progress, like Lafia Transmission Station nearing completion.
Africa does not need charity, but partnerships that will promote the adequate investment
with the cooperation of all. sharing firsthand the experiences of reporters on the field as they bring to you weekly the beauty of Nigeria's diverse culture and the economic potentials therein. The Correspondence, development through the eye of the grassroots, showing every Monday at 1:30 p.m. on the network service of the NTA, with a repeat broadcast on NTA News 24 and NTA International. Join us.
Now, what could make someone set out on a journey and not get to his or her destination? Now, imagine the victim who cannot reach out to these responders, who doesn't even have the phone to reach out. Hello, thank you very much for joining us on platform, and Ruth, go ahead.
The girl, especially if the girl is a minor, she's not yet 18 years. If she gets pregnant, realize that such girl is sent out of school and the boy is left in school.
Just back to pick the call.
So how much sensitization is the FRS?
I don't agree. A lot of people are just deaf.
Right, welcome back. It's still platform and we're discussing census and national development. Dr. Oyetunji is very much around. So you were talking about when it comes to schools, how you demarcate institutions, how you structure them. So go ahead.
Yes, like I said, we call such institutional households where you have a hostel, a lot of people staying together. That's different from people who go to work and go back. For example, you take Lagos now. There are a lot of people go to work from Ogun State in Lagos.
Yes.
So they're not going to be counted at work in Lagos. They'll be counted at home in Ogun State where they actually reside. But that's where the basic amenities are provided for them in their households.
So are you saying there will be public holiday when the real census is
in the past, they've always been.
Okay.
And we expect that this will be the case now as well.
But essential workers will be at work.
Yeah,
like we.
Like you. Like me too.
Okay, you see. So
we have arrangements for that.
Okay.
For those who be at work like that. And we expect that in 2-3 days you'll still go home. What we do is when you come to your house, they say Ruth is at work, or we say okay, we'll leave this thing, we'll come back. We call it a callback card. Say in this household, look, we are 7, but Ruth is at work. We'll say, okay, no, Allah, leave the card and then we'll come back when Ruth comes back and she's enumerated as part of the household.
Okay.
We do that. But
so I'm not left out.
You won't be left out. You'll be the first.
Okay.
But beyond that, talking about institutional household, for this next census, we even have a special arrangement for people in IDPs. In different
which is very important.
Yeah, very, very important to us because the governors in those areas have expressed apprehension. We have local governments that are almost deserted now, and they are worried that how are we going to account for the people there. So we've made special arrangements. We've demarcated the IDPs peculiarly, especially, because it's a new phenomenon, and to ensure that everybody is enumerated there. And where they are living as households, even in the refugee centers, they will be enumerated as households there. And beyond that, because it's not everybody that is displaced that is in a refugee center. We have people that have left and moved to their relatives in Abuja, in other places, and all of that. We are also asking questions that will try to link them up with their places of usual residence.
Okay.
We have follow-up questions. Okay, how long have you been residing in this your residence? And when you say it's less than, say, 6 months, we have follow-up questions. Okay, before that 6 months, where did you used to reside? That way we'll be able to track people who had to leave their usual places of residence, and will be able to account for where their usual. But this transition too is an important information. We also want to know how many people have been displaced in such manner. All of that is coming to bear in this next census. We are very well aware of that, and there are special provisions to ensure that such persons are also captured and the correct information about them is recorded.
Dr. Etayo, we already have a caption for this census. You can't be counted.
Exactly.
What is the message sending across.
Everyone counts. A census is not a census if someone within the political and geographical space is not counted. Everyone counts. Even people that don't reside in regular households, people who sleep under bridges, all of them will be counted. People who are in nomadic dwellings, all of them. The beauty of the satellite imagery is that as long as you're on the surface of the earth, the imagery has already captured all those places where people are staying, and they will be counted. So everyone counts, and we're calling on every Nigerian to ensure that they are part of the population. Everybody has a right to be counted, and we have an obligation to ensure that everyone is counted.
I still want to follow up on Nigerians' belief when it comes to census. Many people believe that the more we are, the more the resources it's going to be. So manipulation kind of setting. How this digital census also how to curb any form of malpractices?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we have so much tied census taking to revenue sharing and all of that. In reality, I thank God for your title. You know, it's more for development than for revenue sharing and all that. In fact, one of the benefits of census is it helps you to even monitor how the revenue has been utilized. But for us in this census, like I told you, the key thing that is helpful to us is the use of satellite imageries. Except for those who are not residing in regular buildings, which we also have provision for. But wherever it is, the GPS technology will give identity of where you're staying. But for all who are in buildings, every household will be situated within a building. So for everyone we count, we will give the building where the person resides, and the building will give us not a sketch, it's a picture. You can verify it. You can go, every building has a unique number. In Nigeria, the whole space, every standing building has a unique identifier. Beginning with the building, the emission area, the local government, the ward, and so on. Every building. And so if we say Sheye, we will be able to tell you Sheye lives in building number this, and is part of household number this. You can always verify it. And like I told you, the technology is so that the enumerator himself is tracked. Wherever he's working at every moment, the GPS enables us to track him. So he cannot go and sit under one tree and begin to write all kinds of names. The GPS will track him that the man is just sitting under a tree. You can use the GPS technology we're using to know that he was not writing this in any building, he was writing it under a tree. Because the satellite imagery will show that it's a tree, it's not a building. And that the guy sat there for 1 hour. What are you doing sitting under a tree for 1 hour? And then if we say everyone, we will be able to tie the person to a building. So you go to a building and they say there are 200 people here, and say, but how can 200 people be here? And that's the beauty of the housing census. The housing census is not so much about the building. It is more about the living condition of the household. So we're going to ask a person, for example, you are the head of your household. This dwelling place where you are, how many rooms are there? You have written it. How many toilets do you have? You've written it, and all of that. How many sleeping rooms are there? By the time we tie all this together, it's going to be so difficult for you to just conjure people that are not living anywhere, that are ghosts. Because how do you get all this other, secondary level information of the household?
I'm very sure why Sheye asked that question. Just to hold your thought, Sheye, sorry for that. Because we've seen allegations in the past where the numbers, the people have said it's not accurate. Some persons even say, oh, the officials never visited their communities. Where did they get the numbers from? Talks like that, just to clear that speculations of doubt and ensure credibility and accountability.
Yeah, it's like I told you.
What is in place to ensure that officials do the needful?
Like I told you, That's the benefit we have of the satellite imagery.
So the technology is the assurance here.
You know, the satellite imageries are pictures. Before you ever went there, the picture has been taken of the buildings. If there are buildings that were not visited, it will not be accounted for. You understand? At the end of the census, there will be no record, there will be no information about those buildings. So when you come and say our buildings were not visited, we will not have anything to show. So you will be right.
And there won't be numbers being manipulated this time.
No, you won't have anything.
From allegations in the past.
Our GIS officers too, like in the enrichment area demarcation we did, you know, everyone will tell you. Even when the people in the field come back and say we are finished, they say no, you didn't finish. Maybe you had opportunity to join. Yes, they'll say you didn't finish because in this I can see here you have not brought any returns. I can see this hut here. You have not brought. I can see. Please go back. So it's not even him that is in the field. There's somebody back who is monitoring. You know, using the satellite imageries to say, because for everything you return, it marks it. This is done. And by the time you say you have finished the local government, he looks at the map. You say, no, this settlement here, you've not been there. Go back.
And one thing is, even if it's sent to the local government, Abuja headquarters is also saying
everyone
the whole thing will be monitored there. But I still want you, sir, to also let us understand.
You should clap for us.
It's
actually on the
yes.
I'm glad you were in the field.
I actually have the experience, but at the same time, I have the experience of...
Because it's important when someone like you who followed us to the field also says it, that you actually saw this thing. It's important.
That's why he's here.
That's why we're also letting you understand that some of the things we also see is the issue of boundary. Many, let me just say localities, these people will say this building belongs to us, a building in another place, these other people will be claiming it. And those people will say, yeah, that is where we belong. So, how do you assure Nigerians that boundary disputes is actually sorted out in this census that is coming?
Well, we try not to get entangled in boundary disputes because there's another commission, that's their own work, the boundary commission.
They have faith
and all that. But for us, the key thing is, let us capture you. Now, when you resolve your boundary issues, whoever wins will put it there. What we plead with communities like that is peace. We are not saying it is either here or here. The important thing is you are existing. Let's capture you. We will capture you and put you in isolation. When you people go and sort it out, and whoever wins, then we'll say, okay, now you win. We'll take it there. But if you don't let us count you or get the data, by the time you win, you are non-existent because we didn't get the data at the right time. So this is what we explain and appeal to boundary issues, people with boundary disputes. Please, we are not for any side, you know. For us is that you are existing in the space of Nigeria, either in one local government or the other. For now, let's get the information. We will join you to refer the case to the boundary commission. Go and follow the process. When you sort it out and they decide that you have won or something, we'll return the...
Maybe you need to also explain to us the collaboration between your agency, INEC, NIMC, Boundary Commission ahead of this census exercise.
You know, the census is the mother of all data. So invariably we work together with all these people you mentioned. For example, the enrichment area demarcation, we collaborated with INEC to map out ward boundaries. Hitherto, the wards do not have boundaries. They just say from Shea's house to that man's house and so on. But in the enrichment area demarcation, we collaborated with INEC, and for the first time ever, we assisted INEC to map out the boundaries of all the wards in Nigeria, such that by the time we release the census result, they will have information that will also be ward-based. You know how many households are in each ward, how many persons are in each ward, just like a local government, just like localities. So that much we're doing with INEC. With NIMC, our collaboration is another dimension. It's under the birth and death registration program. You know that a person identity is created by birth. Your Ruth, not because you have that name, but by birth. Yes. That's when your identity is created, and we register the birth. So we give that information to NIMC for them to manage your identity.
Okay. Very quickly now, we're gradually winding down. The Situation Room was inaugurated. That's the 2023 Census Communication Hub. So tell us about it.
Yes. In 2006, we had something like that at a lower level. But this time around, among others, one of the innovations of that Situation Room is that I want a feedback from the public. So you'll be able to, we have lock-free numbers that we'll give. You'll be able to call and say, look, I'm in Kuchiko, my building, well, they've not come, and we can respond immediately. So in the actual census scenario, that room is going to be on. You can make calls from anywhere in Nigeria, and immediately we'll track it and make sure you're this. In the same way, we will also be in touch with our functionaries, because for a digital census, communication is key. Networking is key. So that room is going to be the hub for all the networking activities and for communication with our own ad hoc staff, with even the public. We'll be able to call and say, look, see my area here, your people have not been here, and immediately we'll be able to track it and send people there. So that's how important that place is.
Will there be numbers available for the public?
That's what I just said. There'll be lock-free numbers, so that you can make free calls.
Is the place already inactive?
Well, we just launched it yesterday, and it's work in progress. We're going to get many more facilities working, and you cannot, until the public out there is working, you can't have a stream. So it's
I asked that because of the numbers. You can't get the numbers
are
now.
Not out yet. Yes.
Okay. Cheye, you want to ask go ahead.
On this sense, maybe because I think we also need to let Nigerians understand that yes, census taking is the central or the main thing of your activities, but there are also major parts of the agency, that is the vital statistics. But before we go there, what should be the role of that ordinary Nigerians on the street ahead of this trial census and the main census? What should that person know ahead of this exercise?
The entire census thing, it's not about us. It's about the Nigerian people. We're doing this for, at one time our team was even get involved. It's for the Nigerians. We are not counting stones. We are not counting goats. Human beings are different. You can't count people if they are not willing to be counted, if they are not willing to be a part of the process.
Which is part of the advocacy we're talking about.
Exactly. And that's why it's important to us that everyone gets involved. If we had time, I would have taken you through the history of census taking in Nigeria. In 1991, we did a census. We were supposed to do the next one in 2001. Then the Obasanjo regime came in 1999 and said, look, I can't do a census in 2001. It's too early. We didn't get that census done until 2006. Now, a new government came in 2016, you remember, when we should have done the second census. And this administration too said, we just came in. We can't do a census. Give us time. And they've given us this time. They're about to leave now. And they want to do the census before we go. And we are putting in everything to ensure we don't miss this opportunity.
Funding has been a challenge.
If this opportunity is missed, imagine that another administration comes, and just like it was with the Obasanjo regime, just like it was with His Excellency's regime, and that one too says, I can't do it now, I have to wait another this thing. We'll be talking about 20-something years before the next
because
census.
Of funding.
And where I'm going is this. That is why it's important for every Nigerian to join us, to see that we don't miss this opportunity. Because if we miss this opportunity, only God knows when we will have the next opportunity.
Dr. Oyetunji, would you say the funds are enough? Because that was partly, mostly part of the challenge that has stalled the process 17 years since 2006.
And that is actually the assurance that the NPC is giving now that the present administration.
Let's hear it from him.
Yes. You see, we've done the main work, which is the emission area demarcation. Government has been funding that, and we've done 772 out of 774. That was a lot of money that was spent there. Money that could have been used for so many other things. It would be such a waste, such a pain for that kind of money to go down the drain and for us not to tidy up and finish this exercise. And we are worried. It will be so irresponsible of us, after all this effort, after all this money that has gone into this, and then we just fritter away this opportunity. That's the reason you see that for us in national public, we're almost desperate to see that we don't miss this chance. And that's the message for every Nigerian. Please join us. We're not doing it for ourselves. We just wish, look, apart from the benefits for Nigeria, the entire world is looking up onto us. Nigeria is the most populated country in Africa. And we're moving to be the third most populated country in the world in the next 50 or so years. The whole world wants to know the truth. A whole generation of Nigerians will pass away without being ever enumerated. So we can't afford to miss this opportunity. For funding, government has made enough commitment. They have put in money in this year's appropriation. The development partners are willing to help once they see, but how can anybody from outside bring their money when you, the owner of the thing, is saying that we're not going to do and all of that? Before the people who bring their taxpayers' money, they want to see every Nigerian also committed to this exercise. They want everybody to be speaking the same language. Then they will be able to convince their own countries to bring in the money. But when we ourselves, we are skeptical, nobody will bring their money. So for funding, we're on track. What we need more than anything else is support, encouragement from everyone, so that we get this thing done. It's not a political thing. By the time we're going to do the census, that's why we put the census after the elections. The administration, what agenda will they do with it? It's just to bequeath a legacy to whoever is coming in, to have data that they will use to plan and plan for sustainable development.
Which is quite commendable, I must say, and very impressive work the NPC has been doing. They say information is power. You let out this information, and that's why we know, and that's why the public know. Thank you very much, Dr. Eyitayo Oyetunji. He's the Chairman, Public Affairs and Advocacy for the Commission, talking about the committee in charge of that area. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. I thank you for inviting me to be part of this very, very interesting, important program of yours.
Thank you. Shaya, thank you for your input on platform.
Thank you.
All right, we have been talking about census and national development. You know that you count, so be counted, so you're not left out. And Dr. Oyetunji has given us assurance that the commission is deliberate about accuracy, credibility, and accountability. That's platform. I'm Ruth Aguela. Bye.